Hello, my beautiful people. I am actually going live in an unconventional location. For those who have seen any of my lives on YouTube or lives on Instagram, you know I normally have my gray wall that has no artwork yet because I'm in the process of moving. And yeah, so that's my normal process. However, there's some construction that's going on in the house. And so I've decided to take my talents to the backyard. And I don't even know if the construction sounds and noises will be heard. However, the other option was I was going to reschedule, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to reschedule because I've been so excited to meet with you guys on a week-to-week basis. This is episode 2 of our program, Love and Lunch with Align with Alison, where we do analysis of our favorite hip-hop and R&B songs from the 90s and early 2000s, and we talk about some of the messaging that's shared in those songs and how they possibly could have negatively impacted us as we grow and develop, right? And so it's marrying my 2 favorite things, which is music as well as love and romance. I am a certified international dating and relationship coach. And of course, so the content that I share with you is all in regards to that. But I also, Alison, personally, I have a love for music. I have a love for hip hop and R&B. I have a love for 90s and early 2000s hip hop and R&B. So I thought, how could I present to all of you? We're going to get a lot of that. Sorry. It was that or construction sounds. So I figured, what can I do in order to provide both of those things, right? Like the 2 things that I love the most, which is music as well as love, dating, and romance. And so as I shared with you guys last week, this noise is going to get on my nerves. As I shared with you guys last week, the purpose of the show is to really dive deep into the songs that we love, the songs that we've grown up on, and to do a real analysis on what we've been listening to when we were in our elementary school, junior high school, and high school, and to see if it really had an impact on us. Did we fall for it? Did we love it? Did we even notice that a lot of it was some BS that we should not have been ingesting? As we've become older, have we now come to the realization that a lot of those messages were absolutely toxic and they're things that we should not have been involved in? So that is what the show is all about. It's done on my lunch break. I try to get in, I try to get out. I still try to multitask and do other things on my lunch, like my nails that are a mess. Please don't look at them. And so that is what we discuss every Monday at 12 Eastern. We talk about music and we talk about the messaging around relationships and how, if at all, it impacted us, and how now as adults, perhaps we might have changed our tune, and perhaps we don't appreciate the messaging that we hear now, or we appreciate it in a different way. So to start off, to share, last week we discussed Darnell Jones' Where I Want to Be. And we played because I'm a we. We played a portion of the song, and we talked about some of the lyrics and my analysis of it, and my analysis of how problematic some of the messaging was. And so this week we're playing Jay-Z's song Cry, and I'm going to actually end up playing probably the entire song because every verse has some messaging that's extremely problematic, in my opinion. And I'd love to hear from you guys. Please let me know your thoughts. If you think that I'm wilding and I'm dragging it and it's not that serious. If you think, oh, well, that was just the times and it was appropriate then, but maybe not now. If you knew as a kid that song was wild and out of control, whatever your opinions are, please share in the comments. I'll read the comments and I'll respond to them, every single comment. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to play for you guys probably the entire song of Song Cry, if you're not familiar with it, just so that we can all kind of take note and realize, in my opinion, how problematic it's been. That last verse is just chock full of goodies for us to discuss on this 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Let's start with the beginning. I actively take notes as these songs play, because even though obviously I do my homework before I get on here with you guys at the same time, I need to live in the moment, right? Like I need to be active. And so let's start with the beginning. The name of the song is Song Cry, right? He says, I can't see it coming down my eyes, right? Like he can't allow us to see him actually crying. So he allows the song to cry. He's going to share his emotions through song so that his emotions are shared, because he can't express them through tears. Now, we already know the term toxic masculinity, right? And how that's problematic all within its own. There's no reason in the world, even with societal pressures, there's no reason in the world why men can't cry. Men can absolutely cry. They can share their emotions. They can shed tears. And so to push this message on that as a man, I can't cry, so I'm going to allow the words of this song to share my emotions is absolutely outrageous, and a message that we should not share with our boys. We should let our boys know that they absolutely should cry when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate, quietly, publicly, wherever you need to, because when you allow those emotions to bottle up, it only becomes more problematic. And we're going to continue to talk about emotions and toxic masculinity as we continue down this list. They've been together since school, which is interesting because that's the same kind of ideology that we had last week when we talked about Donnell Jones, Where I Want to Be. I assume that he's getting to, so I put in my time. She's put in her time. We've been together for many years. So maybe now perhaps I have the opportunity to do what I want because we've been together for so long. As if now someone is allowed the license to see other people, to engage in other relationships because we've been together for so long. He continues and he says that he left for months. So in the verse, when I listened to it as an adult recently, in the verse, he says, he alludes to the fact that he was like going to small towns, locking them down, like drug language, right? When I was a kid, when I heard the song, I thought he meant like he was on tour because I know him as a rapper. I wasn't familiar with drug lingo. So when he said that he was gone for months, as a kid, I always thought, meaning that he's on tour and so he's not available. I'm like, well, I mean, there's cell phones, right? Like, again, this is the late 90s, early 2000s music that we're discussing, but there's still cellular devices. There's still landline phones. I mean, we didn't have smartphones, but there was more than enough opportunities for him to check in with his supposed wife, because he says later on something about a divorce, right? So at least at minimum wifey, there's no reason in the world he was not in a position to check in with this woman. No reason in the world. He left for months and he didn't check in for months. And this is what was outrageous for me when I was a kid and outrageous now. He did not communicate with this woman for months. Then he says, I'm kind of jumping out a little bit, but he says that he got a call that she has a special friend. So first of all, that means phones work, right? Because if someone called him, letting him know that his wife, his wifey, his girlfriend has a quote unquote special friend, that means he had the opportunity to check in with her on numerous occasions and chose not to. So he was being a jerk on absolute purpose, right? Now, I'd like to know, in what world does he expect that he is literally going to ghost, terminology we would use nowadays. He's literally going to ghost his girlfriend, his wife, his fiance for months on end, which is the language that he uses verbatim in the song, and think that she's not going to move on. In what world does he think that that's appropriate? In what world is that acceptable? I'm going to tell you what world it is. It's her world. And this is how we know this. He says that, how is he supposed to know, is what he says. He says, how many times have you forgiven me? And now I'm talking to my ladies and gentlemen too, who have been way too forgiving in their life. How can someone know that you will not accept inappropriate, quote unquote, inappropriate behavior unless you've made it abundantly clear to them? How can you indeed, and I'm actually on his side for once, how can you indeed have an expectation that this person is supposed to know what you will and will not accept if you have never drawn those boundaries? If you've never made it abundantly clear to them what you expect, if you've never made even a statement even before the action is done, that could never be me. My husband already knows the kinds of behavior I absolutely would not accept. And so as a result, I am confident at minimum he's not going to do it. Well, probably maximum, he's not going to do it. At minimum, he's not going to make it obvious to me, right? So I'm going to side with Jay on this. When, as women especially, when we don't make our expectations and standards clear to our mates or our partners or our potential mates when we're dating or potential partners, how are they supposed to know? When you continuously allow people to do whatever the hell they want to do to you, then by default, of course, they're going to continue to violate you because, again, you've never made it abundantly clear what you will and will not allow. So after the first time they've done something that they know ain't right, and you've forgiven and you've forgiven and you've forgiven, then of course, moving forward, they're going to have an expectation that they can just do whatever the hell they want. So guess what? That's your fault. That's your fault, because you have to make it abundantly clear to folks exactly what you will accept and what you won't accept. I'm going to take a pause from analyzing the lyrics a little bit. I'm going to go into the comments, and I have Brian G, who says, transparency. He said he's going to get right back. I hope that there was an LOL that belonged right behind that, Brian G, because Yes, he's being transparent. Congrats. He's being transparent after the fact. So if this is months on end, in my mind, I'm thinking 3, 4, 5, 6 months where he has not been in communication with this woman. And now through the song, he's sharing his thoughts, his feelings, his emotions, what he was doing, how he was feeling, right? There was no transparency seemingly in the beginning. He didn't say, hey, babe, I'm about to go lock them all down, as he says, right? And so I'm not going to be calling you for about 6 months. Like, I'll see you in 6 months, right? It doesn't seem to me that there was transparency. It's transparency after the fact. That doesn't help us in the moment. In the moment, in the video, when the young lady is like crying and walking back and forth in her expensive clothes in their mansion, there was no transparency in the moment. She doesn't know where the hell he is. And again, he has the audacity to leave this woman for months on end, and then is surprised when he receives a call and says that she has a supposed special friend. Brian G continues to say, Jay-Z Decoded Volume 2 should include this particular song, Some Things Don't Age Well. Absolutely. So that's the purpose of my program, right? Which is to analyze the lyrics of the 90s and 2000s. I'm not judging Jay-Z now in the moment as a 44, almost 45-year-old man, I believe. His birthday is December 4th. I'm not judging him as a married man right now. I'm not judging him as a father right now. I'm judging in the moment and how we as young people may have reacted, may have internalized the lyrics when we heard them, when we were in elementary school or middle school or in high school. Bibbs says, I bet if this woman did the same thing to him, he would have shut it down immediately or leave. Absolutely, Bibbs. Absolutely. There's no way in the world Jay-Z as an individual, based on the limited things that we know about him, or any man with any logic or reason or self-respect, absolutely would not accept this kind of behavior. If a girl ghosted on him for months or a man for months, absolutely not. That's outrageous and inappropriate and unacceptable. But let's get back to the analysis. So just take a step back. They went to school together, and he mentioned how his credit was trash, how she helped him lease a car. Again, women building men up, or vice versa. And then as soon as he got the cheese, he started playing games. He started having access to women that he didn't have access to in the past, who wouldn't have given him another look. As Nas would say, they called you ugly, right? So as soon as this man has a come up and he's doing well for himself, after she supported him in his efforts to come up, now he has access to women he didn't have access to now. And now he has the audacity to leave the woman who's been with him from the beginning, that he knows is with him primarily, at least, for him, for the substance of who he is, and not necessarily for the cheese, as he put it. However, she helped him come up. What does he do? Turn around, use that money, use that prestige, use his success to have access to women, and then ghost his current girl. Well, my notes are so like shaky. I was just shaking in my boots. I couldn't take it. He says, I'm a man with pride. You don't do ish like that. So again, is this about how he feels about her? Is he truly in love with this woman? Or is it about the pride? Is it about the ego? I would argue that it's more about the pride and the ego than it has to even do with this woman. Because I cannot imagine that she legitimately loved this woman and he would ghost her for months on end, not communicate with her, cheat on her, and then be surprised when she moved on as if she wasn't worthy. Like, he didn't know what her worth and her value was. Did he think that she would realistically stick around and allow this kind of behavior to continue and not move on as a beautiful young woman? How outrageous, right? Like, what value he put on her and what value she allowed for him to put on her, that she allowed him to do this kind of behavior over and over again, and how stupid he was to think that she eventually wouldn't give in. Brian says he disagrees with Bibbs. Let's take a step back to what Bibbs says. Bibbs says women need to stop being Bob the Builder with men. And I agree with you, Bibbs. I think that in many cases, and again, Brian, assuming that he identifies as male, Brian's my friend, that he is going to try to justify and stand up for men. And I'm sure that it does go both ways. In this particular case, we are talking about Jay-Z, and so he's male and talking about his girlfriend. But I think in many cases, women absolutely do play Bob the Builder. They build men up. I mean, and this is documented. Like, this isn't just my opinion. And when he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl. Like, this is something that's established, that men many times will, maybe not purposefully, but they will use women to come up to become a better version of themselves, or women see the potential. Another day, we're going to talk about potential, see the potential in men and want to build them up. Babe, you should go back to school. And babe, you should go for this higher position. And babe, I'm going to fix your resume. Alison have fixed resumes and applied for jobs on men's behalf. Like, it really is, I think, a problem where we have so many women who are so much more outgoing than their counterparts and men who are not making an effort to match. But let's go back to Brian's comment. I disagree, Bibbs. It's situational. Him leaving seemed to be due to the work, drug language, allowing himself to provide tangible things for her, of which I would assume she wants, not the hurt or physical things. Some, I believe, would say to benefit from the financial aspect being cared for in that manner. I absolutely agree with you, Brian, in regards to, yes, he left for the opportunity of work, right? Like locking the blocks down or or small towns, whatever he said. And so as a result, I'm sure she benefited. In the video, they show that they were together from young, and then you see the progression of how he made money and he provided for her after she established him in terms of her credit and the car. But absolutely, you can see the fact that he provided for her. And later on, when she's crying in the video, looking for him, they're in a mansion. So you can see that clear as day. But I'd like to know what, and I'm sure there was there a conversation that said, hey, babes, I'm going to leave you for 6 months or a long time, right? I'm going to leave you for months on end so that I can establish ourselves and our finances. And I'm not going to communicate with you. And I'm going to sleep with other women for exchange for a comfortable lifestyle. Are you okay with that? Like, I think that your comment is only fair if she absolutely knew, in regards to your word transparency, it's only fair if she knew exactly what she was signing up for. But we can't argue, say, oh, well, she's benefiting because she has this lavish lifestyle. If she did not agree to, lavish lifestyle means leaving for a long time, not communicating with me, sleeping with other women when you're away, and expecting, and that's okay. Bib says, right, and then the girl they really want when they're in a better position. Absolutely. And again, that's another conversation for another day, especially in regards to Black men. And but again, today that's not the controversy that I don't want that smoke today. I'm gonna stay away from that smoke and just stick with, he said it himself, women who would have never normally given him a chance, he now has access to. And so he wants to leave the chick that was with him when he was down for a come up, so to speak. And I'm going to end on this note here, which he says, I was just effing those girls. I was going to get right back, with 2 comments. And then he says, you can't make a bad girl good. So I was just effing those girls. I was going to get right back. I just want to pause for a second and ask y'all, is there really an expectation that a woman is supposed to be with a man who is engaged in relations outside of their relationship? Unbeknownst to them, it hasn't been made clear. They're not swingers. It's not an open relationship. They're supposed to engage, and a woman is just supposed to take it. Is that what I'm left to understand here? And the way that he said it too, that really pissed me off. I was just effing those girls. I was gonna get right back, as if it's just something that's like super light. That's something that's just acceptable and normal. Girl, I was gonna buy you some ice cream. I was coming right back. Are we really supposed to accept this kind of behavior? I just need to know, because how cavalier he spoke, it really grinded my gears, as if this was really something that this woman was supposed to accept, because as Brian said, he's providing her with a lavish lifestyle. So suck it up. I'm ad-libbing, Brian. So just suck it up and take it, because now she's living it up. Absolutely not. Then he has the audacity to say that she's turned bad. She's bad. She's the bad one. He's left her for months on end with absolutely no communication. He is engaging in relations outside of their relationship. However, she's the bad one, and she can never reclaim her goodness because she has left him. I'd like to know, what opportunity did he even give her to leave him formally, seeing that he wasn't in communication with her, and understanding now as an adult that he was selling drugs or dealing drugs or whatever. She literally may have not had access to him. So at what point was she supposed to inform him, hey, it's been a couple of months and you have literally left me. You have literally moved on with other women. So I'm going to move on too. But she's the bad one. Women, don't fall for that. Please, let's not fall for this ideology that because we've moved on from bigger and better, or from to bigger and better, or seemingly bigger and better, that we're the bad guys, that we're whores, that we're no good. We are absolutely good. And we need to hold these men accountable, because there is no way on hell that any man's going to convince me that I am bad. I am not a good person or a good woman, because he's chosen to leave me, engage in sexual acts with other women. However, when I move on to my quote unquote special friend, I'm the bad one. So we're going to close out here. I'm just going to read the final comments, because as I said, I love to engage with you all, and I want to hear what you think, and I want you to challenge me. And pissed is my middle name. Again, I'm from Brooklyn, aligned with Alison here, a relationship coach, dating coach from Brooklyn, New York, residing in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, Biggie's my favorite rapper, the best rapper of all time, died on March 9th. I'm not going to tell you who's second and third, because if I do, y'all might take my Brooklyn car. All right, Nas is second, Jay is third. Don't kill me. Anyway, big Jay fan, and what he's done for Brooklyn is unmeasurable, right? So I'm talking about my favorite lyricist versus who's had the biggest impact. I'm not talking about impact. I'm talking about lyrically. And this song definitely pissed me off thoroughly. I am not a bad person. A woman is not a bad person. A person is not a bad person because they've moved on to someone who respects them. And we're not going to allow that kind of guilt to infiltrate our hearts, because this man has no emotional intelligence and can't even cry. So he has to write a song to allow him to do so. Let's go to the comments. I have... Brian says, I think it was meant to clarify that there was no love. Loving another woman would hurt more. No, I can't say what would hurt more or less. I think personally for Alison, for me, I would prefer if someone just moved on cold. Alison's relationship isn't working. I'm not fulfilled. You're an amazing woman. However, blah, 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 blah. Then to leave me, to ghost me for months and then start having sex with other people and then try to guilt me for moving on as well. Bib says, men know that some women will deal with it, so they test it to see if you're one of those girls. Absolutely. There's a lot of testing, manipulation to see how much you can push, and women too, for sure. This part, I'm definitely going to stand up for men on. Women definitely push the boundaries and the limitations to see what they can and cannot get away with. I think that's a human thing, right? Babies do it too. Bib says, I do think men can have sex and not love that woman. However, it is still a violation of respect to the relationship if that woman has not agreed to it. Absolutely. I do think that men do a better job of separating love from sexual acts than women. I think that women are definitely capable of doing so. I think that men are just more successful at it, or maybe society, in terms of society, we've been trained or guided in women, this is not acceptable behavior. So we tend to automatically attach emotion because we understand that it's not appropriate to do it, versus men are taught, or boys are taught, that it is. So I'm not a doctor. I can't speak on biology versus, what we've been taught. But I think that men definitely do a better job for whatever reason. If it's a biological reason that they do a better job of separating love and sex, if it's a societal thing, I can't say, but I think men definitely do a better job. Brian says, bad because she stooped to that level, and maybe he held her to a higher standard. So stooped to what level, Brian? Maybe you can clarify, because how did she stoop? She has a friend. She's moved on. I don't think that she was hiding relationships from Jay. He wasn't even available to her, literally. So a special friend, maybe it was quote unquote hidden or not, but perhaps she would have shared it if he picked up the phone. Maybe if he picked up the phone, she could have told him that she has indeed moved on. But perhaps stoop to his level. However, he holds himself to what level, right? So perhaps we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard than we do our partner, or an equal one. But she's bad. But he didn't say I am bad as well. Nonetheless, I love you all. I do apologize for the disruption of location, even though it is a beautiful day. The noise from the streets, the noise from the minor construction going on in my home. But I would have been super sad if I had to postpone this episode with you. Especially this song that grinds my gears. Donnell Jones absolutely being number one, Where I Want to Be, and Jay-Z's song Cry coming in close at number two as one of my least favorite hip hop songs and my absolute least favorite Jay-Z song. And so I didn't want to postpone it, and that's why I'm here. And I hope that the noise and the distraction and the heat wasn't too off for you. And I hope that we got some out of it. I hope that this was engaging for you, because it definitely was for me. Thank you for all the comments. Special shout out to Bibbs. Special shout out to Brian. Thank you for Park for showing up and showing out. And it's been amazing. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Please feel free to subscribe, share this video, YouTube /Align with Alison. I'm also on Instagram @Align with Alison, on Twitter @Align with Alison, on Facebook @Align with Alison. And I always preview the song that I'm going to do our in-depth analysis on Instagram as well as on Facebook, either the night of, the night before, which would be Sunday night, or Monday morning. So till next week, where I will be sharing with you all what song we'll be analyzing. And you guys are amazing. I love you all. And adios, amigos. As soon as I stop talking, that's when the noise stops. I'm done. Adios, amigos.